I'm Matt.
And I'm Chris.
We're best friends.
And brothers in the fire service. And this is the 360 Podcast. Welcome to 360 Podcast. I'm Chris. This is my buddy Matt. We're here with Nick Anderson, HR Generalist. Is that correct, my friend?
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
buddy. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely.
Dude,
We're
that
happy
was
to have you.
Solid open.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Thanks, man. I'm getting better at this.
Yeah, I'm gonna still my gum up.
Okay.
But keep
We're
going.
going to
I'll
pause
just put
for
that
the
part
gum
out.
spitting. This is the beauty about editing. He's the one who's got to edit it all.
I think you should leave that kind of stuff in.
So, Nick, before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you've been with AFMA for a little bit now,
Sure.
but we'd love to have background on you. Tell everybody at home kind of your beginnings, how you got into this all, what you think of AFMA, especially what you think of Matt. I'd really like to know what you think of this guy.
Yeah, man. No, Nick Anderson. I've been with AFMA a year and a half now, almost.
Yeah.
Yep. I came from telecommunications before this.
Okay.
I worked at a company as their HR person, assistant. They didn't really have a defined title for it at the time.
Sure.
But basically, I was in telecommunications construction, and they were looking for someone to like ramp up recruitment for telecom workers because they had gotten the contract for putting in the 5G ahead of the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, oh, I know the culture of this place pretty well. I'd been there for quite a bit of time at that point. And I was like, can I be your HR guy? And they're like, well, sure. Why not? If you feel like you can sell this place well to people, we just need to bring in a lot of people and process them. So basically that's how I got into HR, as I came out of the field as like a construction type person. And then I ended up helping ramp up their company and bringing people in to work on the State Farm Stadium, putting the 5G in.
That's pretty cool.
The thing about telecom, though, is the money follows the Super Bowl. They're trying to showcase their products, so they kind of had ramped up and then ramped down, and they didn't need me anymore. So I was looking for a job and ended up at AFMA. That's how I ended up here, actually.
Okay.
So you got yourself a promotion and then also got your own position kind of shut down.
Pretty much. But you know what? This place has been, far better to me, actually, overall, I have to say. So
That's awesome.
I love it, honestly.
Can you do contract work? Because the Super Bowl's probably coming back here before you know it. Just like, hey guys, I'm still around.
Yeah. You want to give me some money again? Let's do it.
Since you didn't have an official job title before, what did you put on your resume?
I basically put HR assistant / recruiter.
Okay.
Because it was kind of a
Extraordinaire.
mixture of both.
Okay.
At the time, a lot of it was the recruiting, bringing the people in, but also somewhere along the line, I had realized that their orientation and onboarding process was kind of like a skeleton of what it should have been. So I basically developed it for them.
Which is interesting because, that's what you're heading up right now, right? Yeah. So we're here to talk about
for the
recruitment.
most part. Yeah.
Before we get serious.
Okay. No, it's serious.
I just want to be clear, before we get serious, you didn't have an official job title. As our HR generalist, do you recommend that people just make up a job title for their resume as they send them to you? Is that what we're going with?
Yeah, you know what?
Or is it on, would you like grade that on creativity? Like, I'll go off on a real interesting story here. For years and years, I had a buddy who actually got me in the fire service. He's a captain for Mesa. Mm-hmm. And anytime him and I would get together and we'd go out to dinner with families and somebody would say, what do you guys do for a living? We'd say, oh, we're dairy chronologists. So a dairy chronologist in our eyes was the guys who put the expiration date on the milk jugs.
I gotcha. Fast
Forward, this is just 10 or so years ago. A couple of years ago, I'm up north with my neighbor as a place in Munns Park. Sitting there, talking to people. Guy comes out and says, man, you're a funny guy. What do you do? I said, I'm a dairy chronologist. What the hell is a dairy chronologist? Oh, I put the expiration date on milk jugs. And he stares at me and goes, that's what I do for a living. That's not a thing. And I was like, oh, I got caught, man. I'm sorry. I'm a fireman.
He actually did
Yeah,
that?
he goes, yeah, dude, I work for Shamrock. I was like, oh, you just killed the rest of my joke.
You guys know how that all came to pass, right? Al Capone's niece almost died.
Oh, really?
I had no clue about that.
And he's the one who pushed that to happen. That's why
He was the one who developed dairy chronology?
Mm-hmm. Look it up. It's real.
Yeah.
Well, dairy chronology's not. That was just the name we used.
Are you mob related?
Well, I'm Italian. I'm just going to leave it at that.
There we go.
Now,
Big trash family.
for sure. Waste management. So is it safe to say you're in charge of all the recruitment, you get to set everything up?
Yeah, I would say from top to bottom.
Okay.
For like one of our chiefs or someone running a respective department division needs a position opened up, whether it is in the field with you guys or
Okay.
something internal in the admin office. It comes across my desk. I open it up. And then from there, we begin, the recruitment process, everything from receiving resumes, applications, if there is a searching part of it,
Sure.
doing searching. That really hasn't happened as much. People really want to come into this world, so you don't have to actually chase them as much as
Sure.
just kind of cast the net and catch them or whatever.
Well, I was going to be like,
Great business idea, though.
Sure.
Headhunters for
yeah,
the EMS and firefighters.
It might be necessary, depending.
yeah,
soon
for
enough.
sure in the future. Yeah.
So, I'll say medics are hard to come by.
Sure.
So it might be a thing. You never
Yeah.
know.
What would you say is the hardest position to recruit and to fill?
It's medic.
Is it
for
medic?
Sure.
Period.
100%.
Like, is that a more daunting putting that like recruitment out than recruitment firefighter? Is there a different process?
It's continuous, so we're always running medic. So
Sure.
I guess anybody watching this might want to know that we don't close medic. At least we haven't in the time I've been here. So it's
Okay.
always open. And when we get to a threshold of a certain amount of applicants, we run a practical.
Okay.
And then from there, we build an eligibility list and we hire off of an eligibility list.
Are we allowed to know the threshold, or is that top secret?
No, it's right when I get around 10, 12, I start
Okay.
pulling them in.
Okay.
Basically enough to fill a day. And,
Okay.
we run a practical. Matt's done a practical before
Sure.
with us, so he's been a part of one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a good process.
Sure.
Do you, so the medic one is ongoing, and we're always recruiting for that, right? Because
Sure.
we're constantly in flux of they're going over to fire somewhere else or they're moving on somewhere else. But other recruitments, what's the timeline on like a chief comes to you and says, "Hey, I need more bodies for XYZ division." How long until we see that? Like see them hit the boots on the ground? Do you think does it take us 2 months to recruit people, get them onboarded, get them out in the field? Does it take us 3 months from the day they decided they need them? How far out do they end up projecting?
I would say, from the time you open it to them showing up, you're looking at 2 months.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not too bad.
2-3 weeks of actual, it's open.
Yeah.
Ideally, a couple weeks of interviews and stuff like that, and then selection. And then from there, hopefully offer, which they accept, and bring them along. It also depends on volume.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, we recently hired our deputy fire marshal. We were only hiring one. Bringing one person on is a lot faster than bringing on 10.
Yeah,
like
sure.
Our next class is 17 people, a mixture of medics and EMTs.
Yeah, we heard about that. That's a good size one.
Yeah, that takes a while because there's a lot more paperwork to process.
Definitely
and
want to
stuff
come
like
talk to all those guys and gals.
that. You're welcome to, man.
of course, I
Come
appreciate
say
that.
hi to them.
Yeah. Do we have a room big enough to do a new hire that
If
way?
it- that
We're going to
103?
use Sandridge, but you never know,
Okay.
man.
Oh, there you go.
Our Sandridge room's pretty big,
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
but it'll be kind of tight in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
We got microphones, though, so that's cool.
Ooh, like the Britney phones?
When you just touch them, they're the ones you just
Oh,
touch the
yeah,
button
yeah.
and turns them on.
It'd be we should really put in what's the right term here? Like a special order request for like the Britney Spears little speaker pack you can wear on your hip.
And that little
big
headset.
microphone that comes down. That would be a great new.
That way you can,
don't
like,
want to see
dance,
me.
yeah.
Oops, I did it again. You don't want to see
Not
me
in
sing
here.
that.
I'm saying in the new hire.
I mean,
That'd
over
be
there,
good for
because
them.
then I'll want to wear them.
Yeah, we don't
and
want
then I'll
that.
just, it's
Yeah.
not no good. It's going to come
More
out.
mobility.
Yeah, maybe. For sure.
Talk with your hands a little bit. Right now, you got to do this.
That's exactly what I did on one of the captain's meetings when
Really?
sitting in there and they had us come up. I'm like, hold on, it's my turn to talk. Is this thing working? Anyone? Yeah, we could hear you. That's cool. So the year and a half that you've been with AFMA, good times? Having a lot of fun?
Yeah.
We can edit this out too, don't worry.
No. Well, no.
Yeah. Well,
No, it's been great, honestly.
Sure.
Coming from private sector to public sector, there was a learning curve there, and
Yeah.
obviously, fire and first responders, all that stuff it's a world all of its own.
sure.
But everybody's really welcoming. I've definitely been, pretty much given the metrics for what they're looking for and
Yeah.
the keys to drive the vehicle, so
Yeah.
to speak. And Yeah, it's been really
So
great.
this is your first experience in the fire service, like
Yeah.
first responders.
Yeah.
How do you like getting out to the stations and meeting different crews
It's
and
something
stuff
that I
like
might
that?
end up actually doing more.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's on my list of my eval. It was one of my goals was to get out to the stations more.
Oh,
it's
okay.
definitely something I want to do, and you'll probably see me come around more
For sure.
Don't worry, be yourself.
Oh no, we're fine with that.
I like to say the construction worker thing before things, so you guys can know.
Yeah,
it's kind of the
yeah.
same
Yeah.
It's
wheelhouse,
okay.
blue collar world.
Yeah,
Just be
for
yourself.
sure.
Don't
Absolutely.
eat anything good in front of me though, and not like I'm just gonna get a bite. a bite.
I'll tell you right now, I'd be ashamed if you walked to any station and someone's eating and didn't offer you food. I'd be ashamed.
Actually, it's funny. I went to one of my first days. I think we stopped by 101, and they were making burritos, and they offered us one. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. It's
Yeah,
cool.
it was C shift then. No, B shift doesn't know how to cook.
I got you.
And A shift's working out at breakfast time, so like it was definitely C shift when you stopped by.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
That is food is always offered, which is a very cool trend. Coffee.
Yeah, for
Food
sure.
and coffee are always very good.
I mean, overall, I'll say this: what AFMA offers, at least from what I've experienced and what I've seen, is you'd be surprised. There's not a lot of places out there, private sector. I don't know what other public sector places look like as much offer this much to the employee. I mean,
Can you
it's quite
elaborate on
extensive.
that, like benefits? And,
From everything from benefits like the Vincier, I'm not in the admin office. I just got the Vincier. You know what
Oh,
I mean?
you did get it
Yeah.
done?
Mm-hmm. I got it done.
Nice.
Yeah.
good for you, man. That's amazing.
It was really cool actually.
You had it all completed?
So there's portions that from the admin side that they don't have you do.
Okay.
But I had the full body MRI and all that stuff
And
like that.
you met with the doc already, and
Yeah.
you're checked out and good to go.
Just waiting on the blood work, but everything was
Which
good.
I think that full body MRI is like that's the thing,
Yeah.
right? That's the one that costs people so much money.
For sure.
To be able to walk in and get that, and your family have that,
It's
that
huge.
is an amazing benefit.
Is a huge benefit, and it's so cool that we have it. And I cannot tell you, I was so unprepared for how nervous I would be waiting
Oh, agreed.
in the doctor's office, right?
Agreed.
And I get it when, you're Chris's age, you figure something's not going to check out, right? But, in my early 30s, I'm sitting there, I did my scan, not bothering me at all. I'm sitting there waiting for that door to open and the doctor to come in, and all of a sudden I'm, sweating and panicking, and everything was fine. And it's a great resource to have, but nobody mentally prepared me for that. It's just you're gonna get a little freaked out.
I have to say I was on that boat too, but they did tell me I have fighter pilot vision, so there you go.
I
They're gonna
definitely don't have
Nice.
that.
poke the
Nice.
bear.
You and Anakin.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got big eyes, dude. Good boy. But yeah, that's cool. The full body scan is pretty neat.
Do you find yourself when you kind of, and I know you're still going through a couple of just recruitment processes, being being here a year and a half. Do you find yourself speaking to the new people we're hiring as hey man, these benefits, you guys have got to kind of understand how important these are for you.
Yeah, I mean, even from the private sector to public sector standpoint, I mean, things like merits and colas being just kind of happening. That's not a thing outside of this world.
Well, in the construction world, I can't imagine your boss comes up and says, "Hey, man, you just got a 3% cola."
It definitely doesn't work like that.
Coke or Pepsi, sir? I don't know what you're talking about, right?
Pretty much, man.
Exactly. So, do you? I would hope that you get to use that as a selling point when people are kind of interested in putting applications here to get them excited.
Well, that's the nice thing too with public sector. It's transparent, so this is all out there in the world, so we can share it, right?
Yeah.
It's been a great place. And then for education standpoint, for instance, I just got my APHR, which is an HR certification through AFMA.
Okay.
Not through AFMA, but AFMA helped me get it. So.
Okay.
Even career growth here, I've experienced more positive things here in the last year and a half than
That's awesome.
my entire career before this. So
That's amazing.
yeah,
That's good.
That's really cool. I honestly didn't know that, and it sounds silly to say, I didn't know you guys are eligible for the Vincier stuff, which I'm very glad everybody is. But
Sure.
what a cool benefit that I didn't even know we had.
Does that include your wife and your children too?
I have to double check, but I think it's just your significant, your children can't get it. I think it's probably just has to do with their age and how invasive it is. But for sure, your significant other spouse it qualifies for Vincier. Yeah.
Okay. Man, that is a cool benefit.
You have to bring Alyssa on next and have her talk about benefits.
Yeah. Absolutely. We're always looking for someone else to interview.
So you've been doing recruitment for a year and a half. what kind of trends have you seen in the last year and a half when it comes to us hiring EMS? Has it gotten easier? Has it gotten harder? I know it feels like in the field it's gotten harder to find people to come work on EMS. It's gotten harder to retain people just because we have so much public safety hiring going on in the Valley over the last couple of years that while these spots are great, historically you'd work on an AMBO for us, and then you would test internally or test externally, but that would take 4 or 5 years to get hired. And now it's happening very quickly, and so turnover is a lot quicker. Is there still a big amount of applicants coming in, or is it harder to find people to fill those spots?
Yeah, the flow really doesn't stop. I mean, at this point, we're hiring quarterly, but really, I could see that even shifting to being more often with all the competing agencies also hiring. You open up EMT, and it's going to have 100 applicants in 2 weeks. That's just the nature of EMT. Medic, that say, is a bit harder because those respective people get scooped up by those other agencies just as quick as you can find them. So it's kind of a harder one. But no, as far as like consistency, it's never stopped. At all. And I don't think it will, honestly. Was there what more to that question?
I guess just like, you're answering it. It just, has that changed over the last year and a half, or has it been that same state of just a constant go for a year and a half?
I'd actually say, if anything, it's been a little bit more, because like even I wrote down some of these numbers ahead of this. You know, in the fiscal year so far, we've hired to this point 17 people. Our next orientation class that's on Monday is 17 people.
That's crazy.
So our next orientation's the same amount we've done for the whole year so far.
Wow.
And that, by the way, is just representative of EMS.
Yeah.
That's not AFMA as an org, because obviously we've filled some other positions
Well, of course, absolutely.
So
17 is huge.
Yeah, man, and I mean that seems to be the hot conversation, like Matt was saying, with the turnaround in EMS, and that's going to be your core. So every quarter when you open up EMTs, you're about the number of 100 applicants. Is that correct?
if we open, we only open EMT every once in a while. I think we've opened it twice since I've been here.
Okay.
And then you build such a big list off EMT that it takes longer to deplete it. Yeah.
So I get my next question would be like, do you reach out when it comes time to maybe do another practical or an interview process where you're like, all right, well, Joe Johnson's on the list. Hey, Joe, I'm calling from AFMA. We want to see if you want to come in for an interview. And Joe's like, hey, sorry, I'm in the academy for so-and-so.
So our lists are
this and that.
Our lists are 2 years. So when we call down them, we're calling the person to hire.
Okay.
So when they go through a practical, they do a practical and then an interview, and then they make the list.
Sure.
And then from there, that's kind of the best part of my job, is when you call them and you ask them, hey, guess what? You got the job or whatever. But yeah, sometimes it happens. There are other places. Absolutely.
Okay.
Just depends.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume with the way the climate is, like Matt was talking about, like everybody's hiring, man. Mm-hmm. Everybody's hiring. And a lot of these organizations, a couple of them will snag you, hire you, give you a fire job, put you through medic school, then have you go to the academy, which is just so interesting to me. Wow. So why don't you also do us a favor and tell our viewers about yourself, married, kids, if you want to, you don't have to.
Sure.
Hobbies.
Yeah.
Everybody's got like crazy hobbies. He's got interesting ones. I've got some nerdy ones, but we want to hear yours first before we spill our beans.
Actually, I know one of Matt's, and it reminds me, my wife assigned me with talking to you, the sourdough thing.
Oh, yeah.
So when we get a chance to sync on that later, let's talk about that.
Recipes?
I don't want to get started, but it sounds like I didn't really realize you have to have a starter one.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah, it's like a whole process.
And then your wife's got to name it, and my wife put a little label on ours. It's a whole thing.
It's adorable. Are you guys still using Gilbert?
Yes.
How long does Gilbert last?
Forever, hopefully.
Wow.
Some people, I'm surprised you guys don't have I had like your family.
I would eat sourdough like crazy, but the girls and Don, they're just not into it. So, but when I'll be an empty nester soon, and I'll start making sourdough with you.
That's true.
I've been on that protein bagel kick. I've been making
It's a protein bagel,
dude. So 4 ingredients: flour, baking powder, and salt, and plain Greek yogurt. You make that, mix it all together.
Okay.
Form out your bagels, Put it on.
He's shaking his head.
What's the matter with you? You've never even tried one. Yeah, no.
Sounds
Here,
pretty bland. To
here
me,
comes
dude.
the flavor. You didn't even
Everything bagel mix shaked on top.
Exactly. So then you take a little egg wash over it, and then everything bagel mixture and my everything protein bagel. 16 grams of protein per bagel,
Nice.
and they're delicious.
All right.
Well, and you're a pizza guy too, so I know you're probably not
He
a
is a
big
pizza guy.
bagels.
Yeah,
And those
yeah.
pizzas are good.
I've been working on my pizza recipe since 2012, and it's
Right.
getting pretty good. Like, it's a lot of fun.
Brick and mortar coming soon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, my wife asked me that, and I'm like, if I did that, I would probably hate it.
Let's do a food truck first.
Yeah, I would hate that too. Like, please tell
Yes.
us a little bit
Sure.
more about yourself. Who's the man behind the mist?
So I grew up in Minnesota. I
Awesome.
moved here when I was 25.
Okay.
I followed who's now my wife, and she's the mother of our two daughters.
Nice.
She was my bank teller. She was a girl from Arizona who was like she was trying to live in Minnesota. She made it like 2 years.
Was she more than your bank teller when you followed her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I was trying
He's
to
trying
get.
to think about it. No,
I was
not
trying.
really.
I was trying to get in at the bank and do a heist, man. No.
Oh, no, I just mean like you guys were dating at that
Oh,
point,
yeah,
right?
yeah. No, I
You're
didn't.
just
I didn't.
like,
I
hey, here's
didn't.
my
I wasn't
weekly-
stalking
You
her.
went to go cash her check, and she
I
goes, "I'm
absolutely-
moving to Minnesota." Me too.
I absolutely. Although it is funny that she had access to my bank account. She's like, "I'm gonna still go for this."
Yeah.
Like you had the ledger in front of you.
Yeah, for
Whatever.
sure.
Are you sure this is where you want to take me on your first date?
Yeah. You really shouldn't be buying no appetizers, okay? No, so yeah, we started dating. The whole reason we started dating is she was like honestly looking for someone to teach her how to drive in the snow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, kind of a thing, and that's
That's a good
That's
in,
how
though.
we started dating. Yeah, it's the perfect one, man, for
So
sure.
what did you do? Take a day trip to Flagstaff?
No,
Well,
they
no,
were
it was
in
in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Oh, you were in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Oh, she was your bank teller in Minnesota
Yeah.
from Arizona.
She was an Arizona girl who was trying to do
Oh,
it
I'm sorry.
in a different. No, you're good. You're good.
Oh, that's a good story.
Yeah. So we dated for like we were dating for like a year at that time, I think. And
Okay.
she's like, I just can't do another Minnesota winter. Like, we can break up or you can come to Arizona. We can just see where this goes.
Yeah.
And I followed her down here, and it's been 10 years since then. And we have 2 daughters, Malia and Molly. I call them my
Nice.
M&M girls.
That's
They
cool.
are 5 and a year. So, yeah. That's how I ended up here in Arizona. Like, things I like to do. I mean, I like music a lot.
Sure.
I grew up in lots of concerts and stuff in Minneapolis.
You have to love fishing.
I'm not actually as much of a fisher as my
Really?
dad is. Yeah,
Okay.
he's too impatient. Hunting's fun though.
Does he have an ice shanty?
Oh,
Is it
yeah.
a shanty?
I don't know.
An ice house?
An ice house.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
ice fishing's huge.
That's the thing.
It's
huh?
a good hangout.
Really?
Yeah.
God, it seems
How
so
much
cool.
whiskey can you drink?
It'd keep you warm, I'm sure.
You need to. Man.
Yeah,
Ice fishing, you just stare at a hole.
crazy. I would go so crazy.
Oh, I love fishing.
Well, they got like bunks inside those ice houses, and like a lot of the reels you drop down the ice because you pretty much only have as many holes as the ice house has access to. So
Yeah.
you drill a hole and then you pull the ice house over the hole,
Okay.
and then you drop a line down. And what people do is they pretty much hang out, chat like this,
Yeah.
eat,
Have
drink.
drinks.
Yep, and then there's little bells on the actual reels. So like when you go to sleep, because there's bunks in there too. If you get a bite at night, like a fish bites your line, you can hear a bell ring, wake up, and reel it in. It's
Wow.
really about hanging out.
So you're
to be
kind of just
completely honest.
tailgating and fishing
Sure.
on the side.
100%.
Sure.
Okay.
100%. It's not like bass fishing or something.
I've only seen like I'm looking at I'm thinking of Grumpy Old Men, the movie. Like they got TVs and stuff in there. They're watching football. They're doing all that fun stuff. Watching
Sure.
hockey. That's
not bad.
not a bad gig.
Yeah.
That's not a bad gig at all.
Cold.
That's
Yeah.
another hockey.
Yeah.
Big into hockey. I was sad to see the Coyotes go.
Yeah, that was a bummer, man.
It's probably whatever. I don't even want you to edit this out because I'll own it.
Yeah.
I watch wrestling. I love wrestling.
Hey, nothing wrong with wrestling, bud.
Well, which kind of like
like
WWE?
professional like WWE wrestling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's huge in Minnesota though. A lot of people don't realize like a lot of that stuff got its start
I didn't
Is
know
it
that.
really?
there. Yeah, we could go into wrestling lore, but you'd have to load up another 40 minutes.
I started watching that. There's like a show on Netflix about was it Road something. It's like they have their own wrestling federation, and it's somewhere in the Midwest that they
Okay.
make up, and I can't remember the name of it right now. But watching that, I'd never been into wrestling. Watching this show, I was like, oh, I could kind of see how people get into into this?
Yeah, I think to a certain degree, once you watch it enough, it's kind of about the wholeness of even the back end of it.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was so much story behind all of it. And there's like plot twists and character progression and like stuff like that. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And my daughter, she loves it, so it's
that's
it's
cool.
perfect. Yeah, and now the women's wrestling's a little more reputable. It's not as I don't know what the word is.
I don't know what the word is either,
How to
but I know
not
what
get
you're
it
searching
edited,
for.
but basically,
Yeah.
they're actual like gymnasts who do
Yeah.
it's impressive
For sure.
So
That's cool. So is your wife still like banking? Does she still do that?
no,
or-
she's actually in telecom where I left from.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she does basically project coordination on cell phone towers.
Okay.
Kind of like, and it's funny because when I first came here, and I heard AFMA was like always looking for ways to expand, make money and stuff like that. I was like, I wonder if they have cell phone towers at their station. But you guys already did.
Yeah.
But that's a huge part of what she does too. Is like
Okay.
that end of it. So
Nice.
Was she the last person you hired before you left your telecom
she
job?
works at a different company actually.
That would have been a cool move.
Yeah, no. She's at a different company, so
That's cool.
same like small same wheelhouse though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Do you ever go back and visit family back there and all that fun stuff?
I go back to Minnesota about once a year.
Nice, man. Whereabouts in Minnesota?
Right outside the Minneapolis metropolitan area. It's called a town called like Andover. So Anoka.
Andover.
It's a kind of all the same suburb area.
Okay.
So
So you're definitely a Vikings fan then.
I'm a Vikings fan.
Good for you.
I'm good at getting my heart broken, man.
You should be a Cardinals fan, man. Well, you'll never have your heart broken. It's just always broken. Just
I was gonna say, I feel like I should have started dating a girl from like a different, maybe a Kansas City. I should have met a Kansas City girl or something like that, man.
yeah. I mean, at least taste
The Cardinals are just like the desert version of the Vikings. I feel
absolutely.
like.
And I got to thank all your friends and family from Minnesota. You always buy my season tickets when the Vikings come in and make a ton of money. So thank you for that. Hey,
Because
I didn't think it was worth that much.
now I know where I'm going to go to buy Vikings tickets, man.
That's cool. So let's see here. What else we got? I know you got. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We go back to recruitment. Could we talk through if somebody was going to apply today?
Sure. Yes.
What should they expect? How do they even find us?
Yeah,
What does that application process look like? What do they expect down the road from there?
that's a great question. So basically, we use this platform called NeoGov, and that posts our posting to governmentjobs.com. I won't talk too much about them because we want you to come to AFMA. But basically, if you go on AFMA's actual website, there's a careers page. And then from there, it'll show all of our currently open postings. Right now, it's paramedic is our open one because it's continuous. It never closes.
Okay.
And then I think we have Fire Corps up there for our volunteers if anybody's looking to volunteer. So you went on there, you'd apply. And then from there, once we got to that threshold, like I said, which it's hard to say what that is publicly because I don't really know how they're going to flow in. We would call in, do a practical, and then if you made it through the practical, you make it to the interview phase. And then from there, you make our eligibility list. And then a lot of times, honestly, the turnaround time to getting hired is pretty quick after that because we deplete the eligibility list for like something like medic just as fast as we fill it.
Okay.
And for EMT, actually, our recent EMT list, we've taken a lot of people off of it already. I think we've taken probably 10 or 12 already, which is huge. So who knows, maybe we'll be running EMT soon. What can they expect? Really communication with me.
Sure.
I like to think that giving a little personal touch is it means a lot to people, especially now and the digital age, right? It's not the same as I remember. I feel like we're maybe the last generation I remember is walking applications into buildings and handing them to people and talk to the manager. But I do think to some degree people like personal touch. So what I've done is just try to make myself completely available to people. So
That's nice.
I got, and this is even internal, like people who need me on the internal side for something that doesn't have to do with recruitment. Call me, text me.
Sure.
I'll be respond to you as soon as I can. And that's what I tell people too when they're in the process, whether you're a person who's just looking to get into AFMA or you're a person who is, starting next Monday. Like I like to be available here as your like liaison to bring you to that point. So I take phone calls like that quite a bit. Actually, people calling saying, "Hey, how do I become a medic here or an EMT?"
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with that, when you get those calls, are you allowed to like explain the full process? Like, okay, you're going to have a practical evaluation that's going to consist of A, B, and C. Or
Sure.
is that something we just don't tell exactly what's in the practical, so we see who's up on their skills? I mean, I don't know.
So the big requirements are, to be a paramedic or, an EMT here at AFMA is you need your national registry.
Sure.
And then more specifically, when you actually start, you need your Arizona cert,
Yeah.
which I think is just a matter of applying and paying for one
Yeah.
if you already have your national registry. As far as telling people the process, I mean, it's always kind of evolving. I know I work with some of our great labor representatives, and
Sure.
they kind of help define that process. Really, at this point, we're running a couple scenarios.
Yeah.
And then from there, if you pass those scenarios, you would go to an actual interview.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any common pitfalls that hang people up in the application process that you can talk about?
I don't see a lot of pitfalls in the actual application process, like as far as people being able to get it in and do it correctly. I would just emphasize, really put in your cert.
Okay.
Much like if you applied to be a mechanic, you would put in your mechanic certification, stuff like that. Going into a practical, I would say be confident, have practiced your skills. You know what I mean? And people would be very surprised. I've sat in, that industry before this in telecom and this industry here. I've sat in lots of interviews, and really just being confident and calm, that's going to help you more than anything.
Sure.
So.
Okay.
Good. Any other tips other than that, right? Well, like outside of that, we've got ride-alongs as options. We've got our underground programs for mentorship. Those are kind of the two best things if you're a local candidate, I think, that you can do to help yourself get hired is go to the station, meet people, ride along, be a part of our AFMA underground mentorship, and get your name out there. That goes a long way in getting hired, I think.
I agree, 100%. And I think you really see the people stand out in the interviews and the practical phase who are really, doing very good on these are people who've taken the time to come to the stations, do ride-alongs, work on interview prep, work on really practicing your skill set. And that's kind of seems to be how the fire service works.
Yeah.
And I think it's good because
Good recipe for success,
it
maybe.
is a good recipe for success. At the end of the day, I mean, on a shift, you're spending 56 hours together in a house and, cooking alongside each other, cleaning, sleeping, and enjoying shows. Imagine me making you watch wrestling.
I'd love to watch wrestling with you, man.
But you know what I'm saying? Like in the sense that, yeah, you should. It's a good thing to get to know these people that you might work with, and I think it shines through in every possible way in an interview phase. So that's really the first step, actually. I'm sure you guys are going to have someone on from the underground at some point and talk about that a little more.
Well, absolutely.
That's the goal. Yeah.
But I'm happy to facilitate that too. Like as far as like if you called me today and said, if someone like off the street called me and said, "Hey Nick, how do I do a ride along?" I could definitely make that connection for you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Because I know that's for us seems like the easy first step, right? Hey, go do a ride along. But for somebody not in this world that doesn't have family or connections, that has to feel pretty daunting.
Yeah,
right? What
for
do you mean, go do a ride along? Just walk up and knock on the door of a fire station, and we're all like, "Well, yeah, that's what we did." But again, that's a generational thing, right? We went to stores and handed over resumes. We didn't apply online. And so telling kids to go knock on a door of a fire station is a pretty big first step.
Yeah.
And so if they can call in to you and then get connected to our program, that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, what I'd say too, what we should do, and this is, I don't know, editable or not editable, whatever. We should put these links. I can provide you guys links to put on the actual YouTube video.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
So if somebody watching this wants to apply with AFMA or find out more, look in the link in the bio.
Exactly. I gotta
And
say
it's
that
there
at the
for
end.
you.
I'm saying it this time. You can't cut it out.
Oh, you can say that part.
But please check the link in the bio and don't forget to hit the like and follow button. Why? Why do you do it every time? It's fun for me.
2004.
You still want people to like and follow?
Yeah, you don't say it anymore. You're trying too hard. Play hard to get.
This is the generational things. This is older.
This is probably not an HR question, but Matt, how old are you, man?
32.
I will not take offense. Please guess How old do you think I am? I love this game. And honest, you're not going to hurt my feelings at all.
43.
Thank you. We're great friends right now. I just turned 51.
Really?
I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. I'm 37.
I'm 45.
Okay.
So, and I get a lot. It's like, you do not look 45. And like, I don't act 45.
No, you look 51.
I'm going to punch you. And you're lucky that Anakin's right here to stop it.
Well, depending which Anakin it is, he might support you punching him.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's either
Either light or the dark
Is
side.
it episode 3 Anakin? Because then you can just work
He's
Matt
on
right
my
now.
side. But yeah, we have fun with that little age gap.
Well, we're kind of all in that same like the range where
Right.
we all have probably different opinions on it. But yeah,
Yeah, but still, I mean, like, his opinion's great. I value it, and sometimes he listens to me.
either way, check the bio.
Sure.
Check the
Either
link
way,
in the bio.
check the link in the bio.
Yeah, if you want to apply.
That's cool, man. What else? So you've been here for 10 years, and I can imagine when you guys moved out here, you've always lived in Minnesota. Is that correct? And then you moved out here, and then you got into construction. Coming out here?
So I did in Minnesota. What I did was I did like heavy landscape construction on the side of the road. Like like they build. You ever seen the retaining walls on the side? Yeah. So that's kind of what we were involved in up there, and then some residential stuff as well. So I was already kind of doing that sort of thing. And then like in the wintertime, I would salt the roads and stuff like that.
So I'm trying to chalk it up because before I got in the fire services, construction, I guess too, but. Just being outside doing stuff like that in July
Construction light.
was horrible.
Well, that's really what landscaping is.
No,
There's probably people watching this going, "Nick, landscaping is not construction." And
You
I'm
were
like, whatever,
construction
dude.
light. Or you were construction. Chris was construction light. He did countertops.
They weren't light.
Oh,
Let me
that's,
tell you, they were natural stone.
I'm saying, yeah.
But what I'm saying is,
usually put in
July,
point.
like, this sucks. Why am I doing this? I can imagine that's what a January was like in Minnesota. Damn, it's cold outside.
Really, the big problem for me was, and this actually speaks to something you guys would completely understand, is in the wintertime, you're at the whims of the winter.
Yeah.
So, you might have your whole day planned out, and then all of a sudden you get a phone call at 1 a.m. that says, get up, you have to go plow the roads for the next 48 hours.
Oh. Yeah, that's rough.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So I was happy to leave that behind. And then how I got into the telecom side stuff, I came down here, I floated a few between a few different jobs.
Sure.
Things didn't work out. I think I was one of the people putting Miller on the shelf. That was my first job when I moved here.
High life.
Yeah, I didn't like that job. They didn't agree with me. Though they give you cheap beer, so that part was pretty cool.
All right. Bonuses?
But I ended up finding my way into telecom, and I did the internal side of it, which is called DAS, and that's where you run the wires in the ceilings for the basically antennas that make the signals work inside the building. So there's actually a whole component to that called public safety, which is a different system, a different cellular DAS system that's specifically for first responders to make the radios work better inside of venues and stuff.
Wow.
So I was doing that, and I ran their warehouse a little bit, and then HR, and then HR here. Yeah.
I love it, man. That's a cool story.
Yeah.
It's a very cool story.
Been here for a year and a half. And now you're in charge of recruiting, right? So are there specific, now that you've gotten a feel for our culture, what kind of people do you look for? Like, who fits in well at AFMA that you're not doing exit interviews with a few months later because they weren't the right fit?
I don't know if I could define that exact personality,
Okay.
but I will say the people who took the time to come in and find out about this place and how you guys work at each respective station, like someone who did do the ride-alongs and could put their name out there, is going to make it. I don't really think anybody's excluded too much based off their personality. I think more it is one thing I will say I've noticed about AFMA is the people who really do well here are the people who try and be the best that they can at what they want to be. And the people who are looking at the next thing that they're going to do. Like even me, I want to go for my next HR cert, the PHR from here. But yeah, there's definitely a level of excellence here. Now, granted, this is my only frame of reference.
Sure.
I don't know what other departments are like.
Yeah.
But that tends to be the thing I've noticed the most is people who are continuing to progress and then help along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that makes a ton of sense.
For sure.
Sounds like good people.
Yeah,
We
that's
have a
the
lot of
thing.
them here.
That's the thing that I liked the most when I first came here was when I was testing, everybody was always willing to help you get hired with them and within their organization. AFMA was the first place I came that they were like, hey man, we heard you have an interview at that department next week. Why didn't you tell us? And I'd be like, oh, I didn't know you wanted to know that. I thought I shouldn't say anything. And the mentality here has always been like, no, we want you to get to where you want to go to get your dream job.
Yeah.
Let's help you. And that's something I've seen since the day I started, and it's continued.
I've even heard people say that, honestly, outright.
Yeah.
So that's totally true.
Well, I think, well, personally for me, that mentality comes from just being on the EMS division before getting over to the fire side. Was that there was only so many fire jobs, and the captains I had at the time were very much into that, going, look, man, we're only hiring 4, so as much as we'd love for you to work here with us, you have to go to other places. You have to interview other places. I was one of the fortunate ones, got hired where I wanted to be hired, but I think that just comes from understanding that we can only hire so many people.
Right.
And we want everybody to reach their goals. And that's really cool to work with like-minded people like that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
We actually ran an internal paramedic, or the paramedic program for the school. Yes, I forgot.
I'm going next.
Everyone did well.
Yeah.
That's the thing too. That's interesting. Is you hear something like 100% people passed or whatever. Like that's kind of it shouldn't be that way. But in truth,
Sure.
everyone did that well.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a shining example of how good this place is.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Agreed.
And I know everybody put in a lot of back end work to bring themselves to those points.
Absolutely.
So,
for sure.
yeah.
Looking forward to paramedic school hopefully soon.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
If you're looking to do your best, this is the place to be.
Oh, absolutely. And it's nice to have those opportunities here too.
Yeah.
So,
And as you said, no one's gatekeeping progress.
Yeah. You're surrounded by people that are pushing themselves, so by a byproduct, you're just going to get pushed alongside, which is nice.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
I think, too, there's a level of access to people that I think is kind of unprecedented. Like, you can get anybody on the phone, I feel like. At least that's been my experience.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a job
think
experience.
I think some of that is just the fire service in general. Like, mentorship is so ingrained into the core of the fire service that we're also used to saying, like, hey, help me get this job. Okay, now you help me get the job. Now help me be good. Now help me get that next job. And while you're helping me, I'm helping this person over here. So, like, mentorship is just a foundational building block in it that I think the access kind of like people are just so used to asking for it and also giving it.
If you had a potential recruit talking to you and he was like, hey, why should I come work for Arizona Fire Medical as opposed to another organization that has civilian EMS, is there something that you could speak on that you've seen in your time here that you feel, I don't want to use the word superior, that makes it makes it a better fit for people?
I'll say this organizationally, being civilian EMS, we are putting such a heavy focus on civilian EMS that you can for sure bet that every possible resource to make you the best EMS professional as you progress in your career, whether that's staying in EMS or whether that's going to fire eventually, they're going to put everything they can into making sure that you're the best EMT or paramedic possible, or maybe you're an EMT going to paramedic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the resources are there. And I can tell you too, from what I've seen, AFMA is always looking for the next thing technology-wise. Not that I fully understand it, but I hear a lot about the stuff you guys are using in the field and how that differs from other organizations. And
well, it's a very progressive authority, right? So always 100%. Looking for something new.
And then, things like, everything from our benefits, like we talked about Vince here earlier, our benefits are great. The pay scale does, it can rise fast when you're looking at merits and COLAs on a yearly basis. I think really just overall progression, your career progression coming here, you see it and you feel it right away.
Awesome.
I felt it right away personally.
Awesome.
Is there, because you interface with new people a lot more than the rest of us, right? Is there anything that like you forgot that like is great that we have that we maybe are so used to that when they come in and you tell them about a benefit or you tell them about something and you're just like, oh, that's a normal thing for us, and they're like, oh, whoa, that's wild. Is there anything that sticks out like that?
Let me think, man. Good thing you can edit this one because I really want to think about this one. Something that we take it. Well, I can tell you this, and this is actually something worth probably talking about within the realm of all this, is we're always looking at optimizing, employee satisfaction and stuff like that. And I know some of these people are coming from outside organizations that have various shift schedules, but recently, we've now converted over where we have our, regular shift schedule, and then also we used to have peak 40 ambos, so 410 shifts. But they're finding that people were more interested in something more condensed. So now we've actually switched to 36-hour shifts. We have 312s, and that was in effect last Monday.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So no more peak 40s. Now we have 312s, which is huge. I mean, all that time back in your day stuff. I've already had a few actually of the candidates coming up, calling me and be like, "Hey Nick, you think I'll be able to get this time off? I know I just started." And I'm like, "Well, actually, depending what shift you end up on,
For sure.
you're probably just not going to be working. So it's perfect."
Yeah, that's cool. There's a lot of opportunity.
There's definitely a lot of opportunity. This is whether you're looking to start your career in EMS or whether you're looking to come in here and dig in and ride your career out of AFMA. It's great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I like it. Well, man,
Thank you so much. Of
we appreciate you.
Really nice having you on. And
Yeah, absolutely.
getting
Guys.
to talk about recruitment.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll answer some questions that people are always, like you said, more than welcome to. Let's just start that over. People are, like you said, always more than good Lord.
Let's do it again.
We got it, dude.
We all readjust.
Like you said earlier, people can always reach out to you through email or phone, but hopefully we answered some basic questions that make them feel more comfortable applying to and joining us here at AFMA.
Yeah.
And then Chris always likes to end things.
Well, no, I mean, we'll go ahead. Definitely, we'll put that link in the bio so people can click on it, get some information.
Depending where your screen is.
And don't forget to hit that like and follow button.